We're live from Radio Row. I'm Chris Bleck, along with Adam Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. For those of the new listeners to the Bleck Abdalla show, the one thing that they know is that we are Chicago guys.
Yeah.
And this is also something where today on the show, it's Hall of Fame Day, right? We started the show with Patrick Willis. We will talk to Brian Urlacher. We have Kurt Warner on the show. And now, Devin Hester, Hall of Famer, former Bear, joins Bleck and Abdalla. What's up, Devin? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys, man?
I mean, this place is buzzing. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it is. It's truly a lot. I ran into a couple guys that I played with, a couple Hall of Famers that I don't talk to already. So it's a nice crowd.
Anyone try and catch you, track you down? Because they're like, during our playing days, we couldn't get that done.
Nah, not yet. I just got in here, so hopefully a little later I'll be running around a little bit.
It's kind of like a reunion for some of you guys. I saw you talking to Matt Forte over there. Like we just said, Urlacher's here. Is it nice to come in here sometimes and just, I know you're working too, but to catch up with some of the guys you don't get to talk to, don't get to see throughout the year?
Most definitely. When you're out the league for a while, you don't run into these guys often like this. And then for it to be a building with so many of us in here at one time, it's like a family reunion almost. It's always an honor to be here and catch up with these guys.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's also cool for, Adam and I didn't play. We went to your games and we were watching and, we were talking to Brian and it was a pre-record that we had earlier in the morning. So we're going to air it later here on the show. But Urlacher was telling us that he was at the playoff game and you were there in Chicago and just how cool it was to be welcomed back, but also the atmosphere and what was taking place in Chicago against Green Bay and just the new vibe with the Chicago Bears. What have you seen watching this team year one with Ben Johnson and just the way that it kind of went this season?
I think the number one thing with Chicago is the players look like they're having fun. And what I mean by that is so many years where you have players that's so uptight. You have the coaches that's uptight, fighting for their jobs. And when you have coaches that's uptight, it trickles down to the players. The way Ben has been with these players this last year really, really sparked them to the point where you see the guys are smiling, they're happy, they're enjoying football. Football is not just business, but now we are doing something that we love doing. And that's something that I've seen that I haven't seen in a while with the Bears is everybody's happy. Everybody's having fun, all the way down to the equipment manager. And it's like the good old days when I played, when it was just all about football. We didn't care about the business side. Everybody was on board on just winning games and making it to the playoffs. And that's the way it looked this year.
What was it like being at that game, the crowd, the excitement, being back at Soldier Field? What was it like being at that for you?
It was great. The one thing that stood out was we won. And we beat Green Bay.
It was nice, right?
But it just felt like old Chicago football, cold, a night game. I love the night games. And then, just going against your rival team in the playoffs and coming out with a W. And everybody, like I say, the crowd was into it. And everybody was just having fun.
It always felt like, to me, being a fan and sitting in the stands at Soldier Field, like when there was a big game, big moment, you always showed up. Was there something about the prep that you kind of knew the lights were a little brighter, national TV audience, or whatever it was, a Monday night, a Sunday night, a playoff game, where the ball's in the air, you're back for a punt return, and it's showtime? Is there something that you thought of before those moments?
I think it's just more as a player, you just have all day leading up to it, thinking about it, thinking about what you're going to do, thinking about who's watching, thinking about watching games before yours and seeing guys and seeing some of the things that they did where you felt you could have did better. So you just looking at all that stuff, you know what I mean? And preparing yourself. Okay, I see a play that he made on a 12 o'clock game, a 1 o'clock game that I'm glad I seen him make that mistake. Now I know not to make that mistake. So when it comes to the night games, it's just so much preparation and so much time you have on your mind to analyze and figure out what's the best thing to do and how I'm going to do it.
Speaking of prep, going back to when you guys were in the Super Bowl, what was this week like leading up for you guys? This whole media, all the frenzy, what was it like leading up for you guys?
It was very overwhelming. for players. It's exactly for players, and the coaches and the media guys do a great job of minimizing some of the distraction and so much overwhelming and doing all the interviews and things like that. But at the same time, as a player, things that you want to cherish, because you never know when you're gonna get the opportunity to be back in that big show. So you want to cherish all those moments, take it all in, and have something to remember. But at the end of the day, you're here for a purpose, and that's to win.
Yeah, it's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. We spent a lot of time working in Chicago. We both live in Chicago, and so this is a great privilege to have you and Brian stop by the show today and to talk a little Bears football on the national stage. Devin, Adam was talking about the prep for the Super Bowl. I think the one thing I can speak as someone who's 40, the best moment as a Chicago Bears sports fan for me was your return in the Super Bowl. And I think there's a lot of people our age, millennials, who look at that and they say, when Hester returned that kick at the start of the Super Bowl, we thought we had it, and like that moment. And I think going back to your point of view when that took place, I think a lot of people stamped you that day into the Hall of Fame when you had that kick return against the Colts. And then the story that came out after that, the Colts were planning on not kicking to you at all throughout the game, and they changed their mind right before kick. Take us into what it was like, the Super Bowl, the prep, standing there right after the national anthem plays. Here's the first kickoff, and boom, you found a spot. You went to the right and off to the races.
That whole day leading up to it, we of course we had special team meetings, and throughout the week, Coach Dungy would go to the press and they would talk about the special team. And we knew that one Monday he was not kicking it. Tuesday they were debating about it. Wednesday they were considering it. Thursday they changed their mind, they wasn't kicking it. And then so that morning of special team, they made a bold statement that they're strongly thinking about kicking it. And so we knew right then and there that we did have an opportunity to get our hands on the ball. And I knew leading up to the game, if I just got one return, and if I got a big return, if it wasn't a touchdown, but it was like 30, 40-yard return, that I wasn't going to see the ball again. So I knew that if I got that first opportunity to get my hands on it, that I had to make the best of it. And just leading up to that game, man, it was just so exciting for me. I was a rookie, and I had veteran guys coming up to me telling me, hey, Devin, I've been playing 13, 14 years in the league.
Yeah.
And this is my first time being in the Super Bowl. You're a true rookie.
Yeah.
And you get the opportunity to experience this type of moment. And he was like, man, I don't know what's going to happen, but he was like, just try to make the best you can at this opportunity, because you never know if you'll see this again. And so I had all that going through my mind, and I knew that if I got my hands on the ball, it was cancel Christmas for me. It was no way I was going to get Tiger. So if I got another return, it was going to the house.
I always thought watching, like, a lot of the times where I would always be sitting was in one of the end zones. So, like, on the play, it's like kind of the viewpoint is the coach's tape. You can see all the running lanes. And I always felt that if the first defender didn't get you, they weren't going to get you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you felt? If you can make that first guy miss, you then had the momentum to then work against the rest of the defenders who were trying to guess where you would go?
I kind of disagree with that situation.
Okay.
My mindset was I wasn't worried about the first guy. That's an automatic miss. If it's just him by himself, he's in trouble. I was surpassing him, and I was looking at the next guy. So if I can make the next guy miss, it was a touchdown.
When they changed the rules to the new dynamic kickoff, were you stretching out a little bit, being like, I think I got a few more years left in me, because I think I could get a few more returns in me?
The new rule is I love it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know why it's more returns. Every time I watch the game, I get so upset with the returners. That's that type of the system that they have right now fits the type of player I am.
Yeah.
Is the kickoff is almost like a punt return if you look at it, and so I just feel if I played in this era, they will be changing that rule again.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. And I think that, like, that's why we all marveled at watching you. And from the moment you stepped into the NFL, you were great at it. And to me, it goes back, like, I remember the first time I saw that cut up of the YouTube video, you at Miami. And I think there was a play, you can correct me on this. I remember seeing, like, you were going backwards multiple times. Like, that still goes down to me. Like, for everything that you did in the NFL, some of those returns at the U, those were way cooler the way they look. You know, you were trapped. You had guys all around you. You're now running backwards and around. Like, tell us about the days at the U.
The days at the U, man, was we had so many great athletes on our team. You know, and it felt like an all-star game. And when you feel like you're the all-star team and you have all the great players, then sometimes you typically do things you wouldn't do. And so we was able to get away with running backwards, and coaches yelling, why he doing that? He's losing 10 yards, but then you realize he's losing 10 yards to gain 80. So we was able, unfortunately, to get away with that type of thing. And then and most definitely, we felt we were just better than everybody. We're faster, we're stronger. And so that played a part, you know, and some of the things I was doing on the field was unacceptable by players, but then in our caliber, we felt like we was able to get away with it.
Devin, tell us about Ralph Foods, the Crunch Time Hero Southern Recipe small batch that you're on behalf of.
So it's pretty much a foundation that these guys came up with. Mike Dicker kind of felt that, you know, back in the days where guys, when it comes to insurance and things like that, after 5 years of playing in the NFL, they cut off their insurance. And so they came out with a way to raise funds to help out guys, older players that's retired and been retired for 15, 20 years now, that's unable to get the benefits. And so this foundation has found a way to raise money for those type of guys and to help them out in any kind of way they can.
Is there anywhere we're supposed to go? What should our listeners know?
So it's on portryan.com. You can go in there. It is show all the information. They have all type of things, charity things. They have events going on this week where they have a place where they're having a ceremony where they're talking about it more. They're giving away Super Bowl tickets for next year. If you subscribe for portryan.com, go on the website and click on there to sponsor and help out. They find all kind of ways just to raise money to help out a lot of retired players.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Devin. Thank you for stopping by Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports.
Okay. Thank you guys for having me.
There he is, Devin Hester, the Hall of Famer, joining Bleck Abdalla, and obviously we're Chicago guys. We love Devin Hester.